All right, so we're graphing sine and cosine. This is where it's actually very helpful to know your trig values, okay? If not, you can write down a table as well, though. But let's go ahead and let's graph y equals sine x. And we're going to do it on the interval. We're going to do it on the interval from negative 2 pi to positive 2 pi. Yesterday, you only graphed it from 0 to 2 pi. Now we're going to graph it all the way from negative 2 pi to positive 2 pi. I want to fit that in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of get in the habit of when you draw your own graphs. For a little while here, you'll probably count by pi over 2. Right. So I don't want you to have to memorize these. It's helpful to probably, I mean, you might get them memorized because you'll do them enough. But it's really helpful to just know your trig values. If I plug in a 0 for x, what do I get for y? What's the sine of 0? 0. So if I plug in a 0 for x, I got a 0 for y. So there it is, right there at the origin, 0, 0. Let's move to the right. Let's plug in pi over 2. If I plug in pi over 2 for x, what's the sine of pi over 2? 1. So if I plug in a pi over 2 for x, out comes a 1. Okay? How about the sine of pi?
0.
0. Sine of 3 pi over 2? Negative 1. Sine of 2 pi?
0.
Just like we did yesterday, right? Okay. I should not have gone above 1 there. Apologize, it's not perfect.
Well, you got 1.5 down the bottom too.
Okay? And then backwards, just keeps on keeping the same pattern, right? Negative pi over 2 would be? Negative 1. Negative pi. You'll follow the pattern then, right? So there is your graph of your sine function from negative 2 pi to positive 2 pi. If we want to do cosine, okay, if we want to do cosine, what if I plug in a 0 here for x? What's the cosine of 0? Thank you very much.
1.
1? Okay. How about cosine of pi over 2? 0. Cosine of pi? Negative 1. You see the pattern, right? And you will get... Whoops, missed.
Points all the way.
You'll get good at graphing both of those. You didn't have to graph them on the same there. I just did for time purposes right here. Okay? But I think it's very helpful to just use your knowledge of the values to help you draw your graphs. When I draw graphs, do we need to go higher than 1 or negative 1 for right now? No, the values never go higher or lower than 1 or negative 1. I think it's helpful just to count by pi over 2. You know how yesterday with the pull and peel we were counting by pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, and then I'm not as concerned about getting all those values down. You certainly could, but we're just kind of going to hit the main ones. When it reaches the top, when it zeroes back out, when it reaches the bottom, and then when it zeroes back out. Okay? That's probably the best way to help you start graphing these. Questions on that? Okay? There's a couple intervals they're going to ask you to graph them on. If you would, guys, please make sure you get this written down. And give these an attempt this week. It's not very many, just 6 of them. 7 actually, sorry. That's your homework. We'll work more on graphing next week. We are not having a quiz next week, just for your info.